Oh my god, guys, these things look amazing.
What is going on, everybody? It is Aaron Cates and welcome back to the channel. Now today we're going to be painting the suspension for the Ford, get everything ready to go back on tomorrow. Tomorrow's hopefully the day we get everything back together. I have to work tonight, which I don't normally do, so I would have done it today, but I have to go to work tonight. Today is Saturday, and tomorrow I have all day. We can get the suspension back on. We'll have cured for 24 hours then anyways, so it works out in the long run. But I want to go ahead and get everything painted just before it goes on. So you guys know we have our coil springs, our buckets. We are going to be wire wheeling these. I'm just going to stuff these up and get them cleaned up. Any chipping paint, like right here, get that all smoothed out with a stuff pad, and then we're going to be painting that a matte blue. Now I chose matte because they didn't really have the color I wanted in gloss, but we have a gloss clear that's going over it. So let me show you guys the paint. So I went to AutoZone this morning and we got, this is the paint we're going to be using. It is a just matte blue. It's Rust-Oleum Custom Premium Lacquer. We have some primer. We have a crystal clear enamel from Rust-Oleum, and we have our stuff pad. So as you guys can see in the light right next to it, it's pretty similar. It doesn't have as much flake as this does, and when it comes to doing suspension underneath, you want something bright that's going to stand out. If I do something dark in here, so everything else is already kind of dark, you wouldn't be able to see it. So that's why we did something a little bit brighter. So I think this will work out well just for our coil springs. Now, if you missed the suspension teardown video where basically took everything that was in there out and I showed the coil towers we're gonna be doing, this is the coil tower. We're gonna be reinstalling this lower on the frame to lower the coil springs. And I know it's already pretty clean, it's not rusting, anything like that. It would look fine under there because we're only painting it aluminum silver, but I figured get everything to match, everything will look a lot better. Okay, now I'm sure if you're a painter, you're probably cringing right now between my paint booth thing outside and what I'm doing here. But this is just to show everyone you don't have to have a garage, you don't have to have a paint booth, you don't have to have all these fancy things to have something that looks nice. And I just want to show everybody that you can have nice things and have show style trucks without having a $100,000 paint booth or an enclosed garage with ventilation and all these fancy things. You can have something nice just by doing something at your house. I'm going to be sanding these down here, and then I'm going to flip this over and I will be painting it right here. So we're going to get to sanding these down, get them all nice and smooth, and then we'll primer them.
I've been dreaming so much lately about your face when you're smiling.
45 minutes to an hour later. This spring is completely sanded. Next we have to do this one. I don't know if you guys can notice how dull this spring is compared to how glossy this one is. And a lot of this rust down here, you guys can see it all over the sheet I have. Where all this is flaking off, I had to get some 80 grit sandpaper and come in and sand it down to bare metal. So I mean, if you were just doing this and you were just stuffing it up, there was no bare metal, say these springs were brand new, kind of like that spring right there is brand new. If you guys just had brand new springs, you just got them in, they haven't been put on the vehicle, you just want to stuff them up with a stuff pad and then paint them, you won't need any primer. But for bare metal things like this, you're gonna need primer because the paint's not gonna adhere to this bare metal very well. But I'm gonna show you guys what it kind of looks like sanded versus not sanded. Alright guys, forgive me for the background noise. My neighbor is pressure washing next door, but we have our coil springs in here. They are washed, they are completely sanded. We're gonna have to spray it like this, and then when it completely dries, we'll have to flip it over and just spray that little spot down there and then clear coat the entire thing. Next is these are very, very, very dirty. So I'm gonna have to wire wheel these like that. As you can tell, I just got dirt on my fingers just from touching it. So those are gonna have to be wire wheeled. That's gonna be a very long, tedious process. I try not to show you guys all the boring stuff because you guys don't want to see me just sitting there sanding for hours. If you guys are curious about anything that I'm using a 180 grit 3M stuff pad. I use some 80 grit sandpaper on the rusted parts. I'm using a wire wheel drill attachment that I bought from Harbor Freight, and that's really all there was to it. And I'm sorry if you guys want to see everything, but I just feel like that's very boring. I really doubt you guys even want to see it. So I'm just doing all that crap behind the scenes and then showing you guys how much better it looks once it's done. As you can tell, it is dark outside. The springs are primered. I had to primer them one way, flip them over, primer them the other way. So both sides were covered. Now I've got these all wire wheeled and cleaned up, and we're gonna go ahead and primer them while everything is primered. And then once they dry from primer, I'm gonna set them off to the side and we'll go ahead and paint these blue. But it's 10:30 at night. I just got off work, and let's get this done. Yeah, we got our first coat of blue on. God, this looks so good. You can see it's very thin and spotty still. But God, these look so good. It's Rust-Oleum custom premium lacquer paint. This is the best spray paint I have ever used. Not sponsored whatsoever. This actually has a fan of paint that comes out straight, or you can pull the little tip out and angle it to come out like this. Most spray paint cans don't have stuff like that, but my friend on Instagram, Jake, Great White Buffalo, sent me this whole case of 6 of these of purple for the Chevy. We're gonna be doing the interior and maybe some suspension, depending on how well it holds up on these coil springs. We might be doing some suspension on the Chevy with that. So huge shout out to him. He sent me this whole case, didn't charge me anything, and sent me that whole case. So major shout out to him. And I wouldn't have known how good that paint was if it wasn't for him. So when I saw this at AutoZone, I just knew I had to pick up a can of it. Not gonna bore you guys anymore. Probably won't pick you up again tonight until everything is done. I'll do a big reveal tomorrow, and then we'll finish it out. Next day, a lot has changed. So I was out here all night until I ran out of this paint, and I had a half a can of clear left. I got the coil spring buckets painted, the towers were painted. This was the only thing we had to do. So I woke up 8 o'clock this morning, went right to the store, bought another can, and I must say, the first can worked perfect. I didn't have a single problem with it. This one, it like kept clogging. I probably wasted like a quarter of the can of paint trying to get it to work. Ended up using the entire can on these springs. So that was 2 cans just on these springs. I used a can and a half of clear. I probably could have used 2 cans of clear if I really wanted to. But God, these things look fantastic. Here's a coil tower. Here's the buckets. I mean, the buckets look okay, but my biggest concern was the springs, because no one really sees the buckets because they sit just like that. So you don't see the center, you don't see the bottom of it. They sit just like that. The spring goes in here. No one ever sees it. So I wasn't really worried about it. Now I'll give you guys a sneak peek into the next video. You guys remember how that was on? We have it off, and look what's on there. It had 3 bolts in it. That's all I'm going to show you guys. But before I close this video out, I'm going to wait for those springs to dry. I just did the last coat of clear like 15 minutes ago. Once they completely dry, I'm going to bring them out here in the sunlight, get some sunlight shots for you guys. I think those springs are going to look insane underneath here. And then to have the tower and the buckets being silver to contrast with that. Oh gosh, if you guys can get this video to, I'm going to say 150 likes, because it's going to be expensive and it's going to be very time consuming. If you guys can get this video to 150 likes, I'm going to drop this front axle, wire wheel the entire thing, and we'll paint that entire axle the blue of the truck, and the blue that we used on the springs. We'll paint that entire axle blue. We'll do the diff cover silver. We'll do the steering linkage and sway bar silver. But you guys gotta get this video to 150 likes, because I need that ad revenue, guys, because this stuff's expensive. But like I said, I am going to wait for those to dry and then bring them out here in the sunlight. That's when I'll close the video out.
my god, guys, these things look amazing. I am very, very, very blown away and very happy with how these turned out. This is the first time I've seen them out in the sunlight, and I must say I'm blown away. Now, like I said earlier, the inside of the springs is not perfect. It's not perfect at all. It's not as glossy as the outside. It's not as like vibrant blue as the outside. And another problem we had is from them being on the sheet, this happened, but this is going to happen pretty much anyways when they sit down in these 12 buckets. So I'm not really too worried about it. But guys, I must say I am very, very blown away, because these two colors together is going to contrast so well. It's going to look very, very good, and I must say I'm very, very happy with the outcome. I can't complain with this. For spray paint to get this look is insane. This looks like powder coat. Like, this 100% looks like powder. Okay, now I know you guys want to see the springs on the truck, but I'm gonna leave that cliffhanger right here because you guys have to wait until we finish the lift, and that's gonna be in the next video. So I showed you guys, I'm already in the process of finishing it up. I went and got the spring compressor because I'm gonna have to compress those springs a little bit to get in there, but that's why I can't do it right now, because I gotta wait for those springs to get a little bit more done. Because if I go putting anything that's gonna cause friction on it, it's gonna peel that paint. So we're gonna have to wait. You guys are gonna have to wait until the next video. So you guys, if you haven't already, go down, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, because guys, I'm doing this stuff twice a week. You guys gotta support your boy. It doesn't cost you anything to hit that subscribe button, but it does help me out. It helps fund this channel. And I wanna let you guys know, I'm dropping some merch. First batch of merch is going to be of the cat eye, because that's the OG on the channel. We dropped a couple shirts. Of course, I'm wearing the old merch. I was wearing it yesterday. I wanted to have it in yesterday's video, but it's dirty. We have a picture of the cat eye right here. We just have my little logo on the back. It's like that big, not even noticeable. If you guys go look down in the description, top link in the description, go check out my merch. This isn't anything like crazy or anything like that. I'm not going to beg you guys to buy my merch. But if you guys want to support the channel and help fund different things like this and help me out, I will greatly, greatly appreciate it. Everything's very fairly priced. If you guys, please go click that link, top of the description. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.